Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have an internationally famous radio host, and this guy is amazing, Ron Siegel. I was on his show. He's based out of California. I think it's LA. I'm not sure. We'll find out in a minute. So we'll see you in a second. And we are back. Let me bring Ron Siegel on. Ron, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Glad to be with you. I'm excited.
I'm glad that you're here, man.
I get to be with a real star now. I mean, I just do a little radio out here in SoCal, but now I get to be with the man.
Dude, you're on ESPN radio. Come on, man. That's a notch above me. I'm sorry. I just feel like you're killing it, man. I love what you're doing. I love your show. I love the fact that you had me on. It made me feel special for a day. So thank you for that. And we have people joining us already on the live stream. Good morning. And so, Ron, I created this show about 2.5 years ago to help people get unstuck. And I think that we can all relate to getting stuck in life and not knowing what to do, how to get unstuck. And I think that by hearing other people's stories, we heal. So that's what this is all about. It's your story. So why don't we start with where you were born and raised?
I'm like one of those odd people. I was born, raised, and for all but 1 out of 57 years, I've lived in Anaheim, California. Disneyland.
Whoa. Wow. And you're not a communist.
Well, I do live in Calizuela. So, we're close.
I love the fact that you call it that, man. Calizuela. So you grew up in Anaheim. You went to school. Did you end up going to college there? Or?
Well, believe it or not, I went to college at a very, very small school. Actually, it's in the city of Orange. I went to it was Chapman College. Now it's Chapman University. So when I was there was a whopping total of 1,800 people in the graduate and undergraduate part of the school.
Wow. So
yeah, real small.
There's a city called Orange.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's a city called Orange.
I thought it was a county.
Yeah, well, we're not too smart out here in Calizuela, so we use the city and the county both. And
my God. Calizuela.
So we stutter.
So you okay, what did you go to college to study?
Well, I'm a nerd, right? So I'm the first to tell people that. So I kind of laughed because I've always been a business person. I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always enjoyed just studying and learning about business. So when I went to Chapman, I wanted to be a tax accountant.
Whoa.
A tax lawyer. So I start going through all this coursework and I realized that accountants have to sit there with their green eye shade and pencils in an office, bored, doing absolutely nothing. So quickly I changed, but I stayed with the idea of being entrepreneurial. So when I wanted to go and look at classes, every one of my classes were in the School of Business. So, and the dean who then became my professor who became the dean, who then became the president of the college, said, "Why aren't you taking some courses that you enjoy instead of everything in the School of Business?" And I said, "Well, I enjoy the School of Business." So I ended up getting a degree in accounting, marketing, and management, all in 4 years, 3 degrees in 4 years.
Wow. and
Yeah.
and decided not to do the attorney thing.
Yeah, not to do the attorney thing. Those guys, it was too much studying, and
Yeah.
I figured I'd have to go back to more school. Even in college, I had a fun gig in college. So being entrepreneurial, I used to hire people to go and stand at line. And if you're old like me, you remember Ticketmaster, where you'd
Yep.
get your concert tickets.
Yep.
So
I
I
remember.
hired people to go. Yeah, I hired people to go stand in line at Ticketmaster, buy concert tickets. I would sell them on campus for a profit. And I'm looking and saying, okay, and I checked with all the sources. It's legal as long as you're not doing it on the grounds of the venue.
Okay.
So, so I said, if I'm doing this and making good money here, why do I want to go to more school to start a whole new thing and maybe or maybe not make as much money? And the accounting and tax and law, I just lost all interest in it, saying, didn't sound like fun to me.
That does not
I
sound
like
like
fun.
fun. So
No.
where so in college you oh God, look who's on.
Uh-oh. Oh man,
Yeah.
you let anybody on your show.
I know. So Dr. Bill, good to see you, brother. Good to see Doug Wings on here. We have some amazing people watching. Larry Schneider, Darlene. So and Kellen and Ann's all the way over in Manchester, England, man. You're drawing a crowd, dude. Wow. Look at that.
Manchester,
So
England. Nice.
you're in college and you're starting to make money as an entrepreneur and decide this is way better than all the schooling nonsense.
Yeah, I did. I went the route that people said you had to do back then. You have to have a college degree. I mean, I don't believe in that anymore, but you had to have a college degree and you had to get the education and do all that formal stuff.
Yeah.
And even at that point, I would challenge, because I started working when I was 7. My dad said that if you learn how to clean toilets, you'll never ever look down at somebody else. So I spent 2 years cleaning toilets.
Good for you.
But I also got the idea of enjoying the idea of having money, and I had to save half of it. My dad taxed me 50%, so I was used to Calizuela even back then. But but the tax is 50% of every dollar that I earned when I was a youngster had to go into a savings account that I couldn't touch. He had control of it.
Wow.
So it was a great concept, because the day I graduated from college, I was able to go out with a fraternity brother and buy a house. So most people and in Calizuela, housing out here is a lot different than most parts of the country.
I remember being on when I spoke to your group of realtors. You asked me to speak to it. I forget what you call that show, or it's not a show, it's a group, a mastermind group, right? Kind of.
Right. It was Anaheim Hills Real Estate Caravan.
Yeah, I remember speaking there, and before that, you guys were showing some of the properties, and there was like a condo, a 1-bedroom bath, 1-bath condo that was like 700,000 or something crazy. I forget what it was. I was like, dude, that would be like $1.25 here. What are you talking about? 700 grand. Like, that's insane, man.
Isn't it nuts? I mean,
it's crazy.
Calizuela pricing. Yeah. Calizuela pricing will get you.
That you'll see the prices go down, because I think a lot of people are leaving Calizuela. So
what's happened is the state hasn't realized yet that people with money love this state because of our climate.
Right.
But they're also smart enough to know how to use airplanes. So they go and they make their primary residence in Dallas or in Florida or Montana or Idaho. And then they come back here for the weekend, so they're not having to pay Calizuela taxes, and they haven't figured out that that's happening more and more right now.
That's crazy. I mean, that's what I would do for sure.
Sure.
So at a young age, your father taught you what it was like to A, have a work ethic, B, how to keep your money, and then C, it kind of followed you. It sounds like, I mean, you're buying concert tickets and reselling them for a profit. That's capitalism. I love that.
Well,
So
it worked. It's actually had double benefit there, Ken, because no matter what you buy and sell,
yeah,
if you take inventory, you're never perfect on your inventory, right? So I would have inventory, and so just a quick example is I had inventory left over of a Phil Collins concert back in the mid '80s, and Phil Collins was the guy back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a lot of tickets for that concert, and I had about 4 or 6 of them left over. So the day after a concert, if you have inventory, it's all lost. So what does a college guy do with 4 or 6 concert tickets? He finds some nice ladies and a couple of guys, and you go to a concert, and I look like a hero because I've got great seats for Phil Collins, and you can have some fun with it too.
That's a good idea. and you've made a profit. Now, were you making a big profit on these, or was it, I mean, so were you technically a scalper? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
That's exactly it.
You were making some good money.
Yeah, I mean, for Neil Diamond, I bought some tickets for Neil Diamond at one point, and I think I paid $10 for the seats, and I was selling them for $100 a seat.
That's 10x the profit. Yeah.
Yeah, and $100 in 1983 is a little bit different than $100 in 2020.
Yeah, significantly. I remember. So you where did things go from there? So you decided not to pursue the tax law stuff, and you realize you're making money, good money, it sounds like, selling concert tickets. Are you the founder of well, no, you were buying them from Ticketmaster, so you weren't the founder of Ticketmaster. Where did you go from there?
As soon as I graduated school, I ended up joining a family business. It was a sales repping business of discount merchandise. So I would sell to the Walmarts of the world, although they weren't as big as they are today. I would sell to the Pick and Saves, Big Lots, companies like that, as a salesman. And I joined the family business, and I converted the family business from being sales reps to actually taking possession. I joined there in 1984. In 1987, we bought our first building, which is about a 4,300-foot building. 1990, we went into our 20,000-foot building. In 1995, we went into a 105,000-foot building. And I was going back and forth to China and Asia, other Asian countries, buying merchandise, and then coming back here and selling it. And I was traveling 30 weeks a year.
Dude.
So
wow.
30 weeks a year when you're single. Yeah, 30 weeks a year when you're single is fun.
Yeah.
30 weeks a year when you've got a wife and then a baby, not fun. And it gets old.
Yeah. So you were so what happened? How long did you do that?
I did that until about 1998, 2000, something like that. I sold my interest in the company. My partners didn't want to continue growing at the same pace I wanted to.
Yeah.
We were growing about 30% a year, and they said, "No, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, our biggest customer at that time was Walmart." And I said, "If Walmart can do it, why can't we? Being that, we're just keeping pace."
Right.
So, I ended up selling that company, starting a transportation company, sold that company.
What are some of the, I mean, so far this is all sound like a walk in the park, man. Like life's been pretty easy for you.
I wouldn't say it's easy. I mean, there's when you're everything sound. You always talk about the good times.
Yeah.
You don't talk about the time that you've got, 55 employees and I don't have any hair left because at one point my overhead was $256,000 a month.
Yeah.
So if I didn't, you sit there and go to bed at night saying, okay, I've got 55 families that are counting on me to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And, the first $250,000 every month just goes to expenses. I don't make a nickel until I have $250,000 in revenue. I'm not in revenue, in profit.
Right.
So it becomes a big nut, capitalizing all of that from scratch, not having, I never won the lottery, so I didn't have, trying to grow.
Right.
And, you get a call one day from a company like Walmart and they say, hey, Ron, we're going to open up 79 new stores. We were their number 3 vendor for their discount group. They called us and they said, we're going to open up 79 new stores. We had a great relationship with them. We want 2 truckloads of merchandise for every store. And you pick what we're going to get. Just don't stiff us. So you get an order for 150 truckloads of merchandise at roughly $50,000 a truckload. Your accounts payable becomes, your accounts receivable becomes pretty big.
Huge.
Yeah. And how do you offset something like that?
Well, and people don't think about this. I wrote about this in my book, a story that, I remember when I had employee number 1 and I was scared. I mean, I was genuinely scared to hire this person. And I thought, what if the cash flow's not there and I can't pay this dude, right? And then it happened. Like the cash flow wasn't there, and I called this friend of mine who has $100 million a year company, and I said, I'm not calling for money. I don't want money. I want advice. Like, how do you hang in there? Like, I can't pay this dude that works for me this week, and it freaked me out bad. And he's like, man, you know what, you just gotta stay in the ring and keep running, and you don't let the tiger catch you, man. You just gotta keep, I found out that he had been through the same exact thing. So did you go through any of that where you're like, I've got employees and man, we can't make payroll this week?
I didn't have as much with I can't make payroll, but I will share a story with you about that, because when I sold the company, we were making good money. We were doing a lot of different things. We were growing. And there was months, because in the industry we're in, I mean, I was selling to retail stores. I was selling toys and housewares. Well, January just believe it or not, in the wholesale business, December stinks. There's no business in December because all the retail stores have already bought from you. So think about having a month where your sales are maybe $400,000 or $500,000. You're making a 15% gross margin, and you have to stroke a check for $250,000, right? So you've got $60,000 in gross profit, and you're stroking a check for $250,000. So it becomes challenging. But to tell you the probably the worst day of my life, almost, other than when my parents died. I actually, after I sold the company, I started the transportation company, sold that. And the company that I sold was having some financial problems. And they had just got hit with a $500,000 loss when Kmart filed bankruptcy.
Oh.
And they asked me, because when you have a company like Walmart giving you that much business, the only way you can offset that is by going to somebody like a Kmart or a Target or Pennies or Big Lots. You got to try and offset that business. You don't want anybody to be that concentrated. So, they're having some troubles. Kmart files bankruptcy on them. Their lender would not allow them to insure Kmart, which I told them from the sidelines they should have done beforehand, not afterward.
Yeah.
So they asked me to come back and see if I could help save the company. And I actually had to go in there one day, and for no fault of anybody's other than the company just having trouble, I had to lay off 30 people. And
Wow.
there's nothing worse than when people are doing their job the way they're supposed to, but the company's not performing the way it should, and you have to lay off that many people. It just kills you. It is.
Yeah, dude.
It's not fun. It's a horrible, horrible day. You go home at the end of the day and you just want to. I don't know. You can't roll up in a ball, especially at my size, but it's a horrible, horrible feeling. There's
Yeah,
nothing
that's
nothing good.
30 people out of how many?
Out of 55.
Oh my God. That's more than
And
half.
yeah, and these are
Wow.
people that they're um, they're breadwinners. It's not like they were the kids who. That's bad. I mean, if it's kids and it's entry level, but these are breadwinners of families, and you're having to go and say, something, we just can't afford you. And the only semi saving grace is you're hoping to save the company for the other 25, right? Are the other 25 going to be able to survive because of the decisions you make? And it's just a horrible, horrible feeling. I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, that's no fun, man. It's no fun. And it's easy to go look from the outside and throw stones and judge companies but I mean, look, it's I've been there, man. And there's when you have a business and you have employees in that business, it takes on a different meaning, the business does, than if you're just
Yeah.
a solopreneur. Like, it's a completely different meaning, because now you're not only are you responsible for taking care of your customers, but you're responsible for taking care of your employees.
Yeah. You end up looking at it. I mean, I don't know how everybody does it. I can only talk about me. But, I looked at it that there was 55 families plus
Yeah.
my own that I was responsible for. People had asked me, what do you earn a day, or what do you have to earn? And at that time, my value, I had to earn $10,000 an hour in order to keep the company floating. Those decisions I was making were $10,000 an hour decisions. I don't want to sound crass or anything, but when you have to have $250,000 a month in profit,
Yeah.
you can't be going and just jerking around.
Yeah.
Because you've got a lot of, you sit on an airplane on a tarmac, and you can't. And back then, I did have that long cell phone, the white one with the massive antenna.
Yeah.
But if you're
Motorola.
sitting there the Motorola, exactly.
Yeah.
If you're sitting on an airplane, you're not making money, and so now you got to make up that money.
Yeah. People don't get it. So what what happened from there? Where did you go? And that was in you said 99, 2000, somewhere in there.
Right. So I decided that being that I'd done all these things, that I had a brother-in-law that made a comment to me one time, and he said, "Hey, why don't you'd be good at getting into finance. So why don't you go to get your licenses and just start doing some stuff with what I actually ended up doing is going to Merrill Lynch and got all my licenses with Merrill Lynch. I had my Series 7, my Series 66 life insurance.
Wow.
And I was, looked at, okay, I could be a stockbroker or financial advisor. And, I started realizing, and back then, that's like 2000, 2002, something like that. I had my licenses there. I'm talking to the people that I used to do business with. I had a good sphere that I could chat with, and I used to trade stocks myself, so I understood it. I enjoyed it. Still do trade options now, but I looked at that and I started saying, one of the things that nobody realized back then that Merrill Lynch had was they actually had a division that did mortgages as well, and it was a well-kept secret, but their clientele of who they served was very, very small. So they wanted their clients to be there to take care of everything. So they wanted their mortgage world. And even back then, like, I got a mortgage from my mom at the time, and they had a mortgage that was a variable rate mortgage, but it was at 0.75% over LIBOR. And that was a fully amortized, no neg loan. It's like the best loan ever in the market. So when we went down in 2007, 2008, her mortgage was at less than 1% fully amortized. I mean, it's unheard of. No one's ever done something like that. But I was able to realize back then that there's a lot more people that have $500,000 in liabilities or debts than has $500,000 to invest.
Yeah.
So
you got into the mortgage business?
Yeah, I got into the mortgage business because I realized that, there's so many more people that want to borrow money than want to save money. Right? It sounds counterintuitive, but I mean, in this country, we don't save any money. But everybody that wants a house needs a loan almost. I mean, there's 30% of the people that own their home free and clear, but I would be able to go out and help people get that new house, structure that deal. Even as much as 2 months ago, I was able to help an attorney get rid of all of her student loans through the proper use of mortgage strategies. So I started doing that in about 2003, 2004, and it was great until 2008 when we fell off the cliff. That got interesting.
That got really interesting. So did you stay in? Did you make it through that? Because I know a lot of people that didn't.
Yeah, we made it through. Thank goodness we were able to survive. We did make it through that time period, and ever since we've been just doing different things. And it's one of the things that I've learned in all of finance. I mean, because the product that people believe brought down the mortgage industry was something called a pick-a-pay loan.
Yeah.
And it was a loan that you could actually have a 30-year amortized payment, a 15-year amortized payment, or two different negative amortization payments where you paid part of the interest, but the rest of it was added onto your loan.
Right.
And it was a great loan. Still is, if it was around today, it would still be a great loan. But it was made for the individual that had variable income, right? So if you're a commission salesperson or a business owner, if you had months that you made, and I'm just going to throw out a number, you made $20,000, right? You make up a bunch of mortgage payments. If you have a month that you make $1,000, you don't make your mortgage payment, and you're still not in default. So it was a great product. But then they would have a pizza delivery guy that would say, well, I'm making $20,000 a month, and no one would check it. And that's what brought down the whole system. Is it was a great product if it was used for the right person.
Yeah.
I look at Dr. Bill here. I mean, if he were to go and adjust somebody's foot because their finger was out of line, right? He might be the greatest doctor in the world, but he's doing the wrong thing on the wrong person. Right? He knows. You go to him because he knows what he's doing.
He would do that. He would do something like that. He's giving you props, telling everybody to tune in to Ron Siegel Radio, which I agree.
So you want a funny story about Dr. Bill? So he and I are good friends, go way back, and he's the first to admit that whenever my ratings get too high, he feels that he needs to come on the show to bring the ratings back down to. He doesn't want me to get a swollen head, so he's my go-to guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So this is in 2008, 2009. The industry, I mean, we all know that we're alive back then. Things got crazy in the mortgage business. I mean, for a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah, the whole industry froze. I mean, the literally late 2008, the United States financial system was on the verge of totally collapsing.
Yep.
I was at an event that could not be recorded with former President Bush, and he says, hey, I'm an oil guy and I'm a baseball guy, and I'm seeing that the financial market's melting down, and everybody in the whole world is looking to me to have the answers, and I have no clue what the heck I'm talking about. He said, so I had to go and talk to, bring in people that supposedly did know. And
Yeah.
they're telling him, as the president of the United States, the industry, the financial system as we know it is collapsing. And you better make some changes. And it was easy. It was a game at that time in real estate of musical chairs.
Yep.
Right. Everybody was selling properties for 10, 15% the week after they bought it for a 10 for 15% profit. And they thought that was going to go forever.
Yeah.
And when the music stopped.
I have a video. This kid did this video where he did his doctorate thesis on in finance on the collapse of the mortgage industry and or the real estate industry, I guess. And dude, I'll send you the video. It's pretty interesting. This is from years ago, but he nails it. And people that don't understand how, you might go finance with BOA or whoever, that mortgage over the lifetime of the mortgage gets sold multiple times to other companies, multiple times, and you don't even know it. Like, you don't even know that your mortgage was sold. And so he talks about all of this, and I was like, what? No wonder. I mean, it's built on a house of cards, man. It's all speculative. And so it collapsed in 2000. It was a bubble, and it collapsed. The bubble popped. And I keep hearing that, we might be in another bubble right now.
So we're really not in a bubble right now, but we could be very soon.
Right.
So what ends up happening where we are right now is we have significantly less inventory than people who want to buy houses.
True.
Right. Back then, everybody was just buying and selling, but it wasn't that there was a shortage of inventory. Right now, there's a shortage of inventory. People don't want to sell for one reason or another. In Calizuela, it's because our taxes are so high, and interest rates are low. Right. So when you have that, then that's the normal method. Just economics 101, prices are going to go up when you've got more demand than supply. Now, the challenge that we're at right now is, first off, the Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates artificially low. So that's one big problem. The other thing is, not getting political, but one of the things that Joe Biden said, whether you want to call him former vice president or president-elect, whatever your persuasion, he says he wants to do a $15,000 home buyer tax credit. Well, they did that in 2010 with an $8,000 home buyer credit. And all that really did was force people or incentivize people that were going to buy in 2012 to buy in 2010. But it brought more demand, which meant prices went up. And when prices go up artificially, they're going to come back down.
Right.
So we could end up, based on government policy, you can't engineer a capitalistic society. You can put some regulation in there to try and protect people, but you can't engineer that. And so we could end up going into a bubble if some of these policies get put into place. So it's only time will tell.
Right. And so that's why, people really need to look at the policies of potential politicians and make sure you're picking the right ones, like former vice president, and things like that. So and I'm not afraid to get into politics on this show either. So
okay.
not in any way, but I find it interesting though. So you made it through that. I mean, I know of people. I know one guy that I actually had met that ended up doing 20 years in prison. Like, he got a prison sentence, and I don't know if he served the whole 20 years, but he was a mortgage broker or a mortgage. Maybe he was the main dude. I don't know, but he took a hard fall. And there were a lot of people across the U.S. that did. I can remember in 90 something, I bought a massive home on what they call it, an NQNE, non-qualifying, non-escalating loan or something like that, where I didn't have, like, all I needed was a heartbeat.
Right.
Literally. They didn't care about my credit. They didn't check my income. They checked nothing. They're like, here's this massive big house. Congratulations. Here's the key. You qualified. And I'm like, but I only put like $2,000 down or something ridiculous. And they're like, that's all right. We got you. You're good with us. And I'm like, okay. And that was I don't remember what year it was. I was in my 20s and eventually ended up losing all that. But it was literally built on like insanity.
Yeah. So basically what you're talking about is that at that time we had what we called the 2-step loan process. So step 1 was, can you fog a mirror? Step 2 was you're approved.
Right. That's it.
Right?
That's literally it, man. It's
now your friend that the guy that that went to jail, he probably skipped step 1. So he probably did a loan for people that could not fog mirrors. Right. So there were people that were putting, they were falsifying documents. There were people that were, I know of, it's not something I ever want to get involved with or ever would get involved with, but I know people that were creating tax returns. They were creating W-2s. They were creating pay stubs if they needed them to put them in the file. There's still a company here or a group here that's on the fraud watch list in Cyprus, Calizuela, that still doing that kind of stuff.
I love the way you call it Calizuela, man. That's so funny. And you were born and raised there.
Yeah, born and raised.
Like, I'm a proud Calizuelan.
Yeah, it used to be a much nicer place. It's gotten kind of crazy. There's way too much homelessness, and if you look at some of our streets and then watch whenever there's some news, you don't get a whole lot of news that comes out of Venezuela, but in some areas our streets look just like what they're going through in Venezuela. Homelessness and people that can't get food and hypodermic needles in the streets. Crazy.
Dude, that's insane. That's
yeah.
There's got to be it's like, and we don't have to get too deep into the weeds on this, I guess, if you don't want, but I just saw last night, I saw the freaking mayor of Chicago saying, basically cancel Thanksgiving. Like,
right.
What is wrong with you? Like, what in the heck? And it sounds like something that Newsom would do.
Oh, absolutely. They've already said that. Our rules here in Calizuela right now that they just came out with, no more than 10 people, no more than 3 families. You should be staying outside. And if anybody wants to use the bathroom, you have to clean it afterwards. No singing, no chanting, none of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm inviting my
family. We always chant at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. But and I look at it, you know me, Ken. I'm a little bit straightforward. I'm inviting my family over here. I just bought some new heaters because it's still comfortable to sit outside here in Calizuela. We've got some great weather. Yeah. But we're gonna have our family together. I don't want cancel a birthday. Yeah.
What?
I want my family to enjoy life. And I thank goodness I just saw an article this morning that Justice Alito, Supreme Court, came out and said that we may be going a little too far with taking away rights, religious freedom.
Overstepping. They are massively overstepping their power. They're not allowed to do that crap. And then try to enforce it.
Right. Who's going to come into my house and count people, right, and enforce it? If they don't have a warrant, they're not coming in. And I think I might even, some of the people that are going to be here are going to be law enforcement officers anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. Dude, it's insane, man, what's happening. But anyway, back to your story.
Yeah.
So that is, but hey, that's part of your personality. That's part of who you are. It's one of the things I love about you, man, is you tell it like it is, and you see through the BS. And I love that. So my wife's loving this. She said boom. So talk about in that period, 2008 to 2010, what did you do? You managed to survive, it sounds like.
Right. We used up a lot of savings. We kept on trying to go out there and do what we could. There was loans were tough to do, but there's still people that need help.
Yeah.
That's always been my deal. I in 2009 or 2010, I don't remember which one it was anymore. A good friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, Ron, I'm doing a radio show in San Diego, and you should do one up there in Orange County." And I said, "Craig, I have no experience in radio." And he said, "That's perfect. You don't have any bad habits." And I started doing the show, and he said, "But here's the deal: is we don't want to do an infomercial. We want to do a program that's going to help people. So our mantra is, if it affects the roof over your head or your bank account, we'll talk about it." So real estate, mortgage, bankruptcy, divorce, credit repair, insurance, estate planning, taxes, CPAs, business, employment, all of that. We talk about all of that every day on radio. And that was the whole idea of what we did. It became a lot of fun for me to be able to just go out there and share a message with people. Because if you remember 2010, everybody was hurting.
Yep.
And nobody knew what tomorrow was going to bring. Was the world going to come to an end, or how am I going to survive? My credit went from 800 to 350 or 400. And unfortunately, in times like that, divorce becomes rampant because, as it is in Orange County, Calazuela, 70% of first-time marriages end in divorce. 70%, 70.
Wow.
For the state of Calazuela, it's 50%. So our whole focus become, how do we give people the right information? How do you make an educated decision if you're not educated? Right?
Right.
Most people don't know. None of us know what we don't know. Right? If somebody asked me how to do knee surgery, I need to have double knee replacement. I don't know how to do that, but I want to find somebody that does.
Dude, just Google it.
Yeah. I might not have the greatest results, but I could Google it, right?
Yeah. I'm sure there's a YouTube video out there somewhere, man.
Yeah. So my idea was, and it's what the beauty of what I've been able to do with the radio show is, I get to talk to people all day long, right? You and I probably would have never connected, if it wasn't for people in the middle that put us together, because of what you do and what I do. Right. It's not because I do mortgages, because I can't help anybody in Ohio with a mortgage.
Right. Are you only in California or Calizuela?
I'm gonna get licensed. Yeah, I'm going to get licensed in other states, but right now I'm only licensed in Calizuela. But the beauty is that I can actually help people. When I had you come on my broadcast, right, the whole idea is we can teach people how to make more money, how to build their business, how to make a better life.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I get to do, is I get to share that with people all the time. And it's a lot more fulfilling than going out and writing somebody a $500,000 loan. They may or may not be able to afford it. I try to make it where I do it. I send people away if they don't want to listen to what I'm telling them. If I say you can't afford this, I'll send them. I'll say, I'll put you on a game plan. Other than for fraud, I won't turn anybody down on a mortgage. Never.
Yeah.
What I will say is, we might need to put. I just had a young immigrant come to us last weekend. We met him on Saturday. He makes about $3,000 a month. Very difficult to buy a property in Calizuela. And I said, let's get you on a game plan. We can put a game plan so you can own a home in 18 months. But I'm going to give you 20 steps that you need to do to make that happen. If you do those 20 steps, you get a house, right? So
Wow.
that's where the fun of what I do is because it's all about strategy. I mean, so many people, they look at their FACO score as far as credit. They think it's a FICO score. They don't realize that it's just yesterday, I was out in Palm Desert, and I had a guy say, well, I've got an 870 FICO score. And I said, no, you don't. And he looked at me and he said, how do you know that? Well, a true FICO score, a perfect FICO score is an 850 max.
Yep.
So if you go to Credit Karma or Credit Sesame, they use a Vantage score, which has a 900 max, right? So a lot of people need help in getting their credit improved because they want to buy a house, they want to buy a car, they want to buy furniture. So even though I'm not in that business, I'll give them a game plan. Here's how you can get your credit score increased by 40 or 50 or 60 points in the next 4 months. And then let's talk about buying a house because it's going to save you a bunch of money.
So you do that and you don't charge them?
Nope. I'll do it right on my radio program.
Hey, you need to know this guy. This is Charles Coachman. He's a buddy of mine, and he's a realtor up in Silicon Valley. So
okay.
he's I don't know if you guys could ever do business together, but he's telling a story about a company near his home that realtors, appraisers, mortgage, some became federal inmates. Yeah.
They got free room and board.
Yeah. And and your credit isn't even checked for that. So
right. Yeah. You get some jewelry, you get these interesting bracelets.
Yeah.
Free room and board. But Charles, if he's up in Silicon Valley, I mean, I'm down here in Southern California where our prices are crazy. His are insane. I mean, up there, it's median home price up in Silicon Valley. Last time I checked was over $1 million just for the median home price.
And that's an average home.
Yeah. You can get that's like a 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom house, maybe 1,500 square feet. The size of a 2-car. So think about this. A 2-car garage is 400 square feet. You go up there and pay $1 million for a 1,200 square foot house, which is probably the size of 3 2-car garages.
Oh my God.
It's crazy up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. How you can't raise a family in that, can you?
It's pretty tough. That's what but the interesting thing is it's going to be one of the side effects of the pandemic. Right? So one of the side effects of the pandemic is that we're 2 years ago or a year ago, look at what Google spent on their campus up there. Look at what Apple spent on their campus up there. Well,
and now all their people are working from home.
Yeah. So I think Google said that no one has to go back to the office until I think sometime next year, if ever. God. So I could move and buy. What can I buy in Ohio for $1.25 million that Charles just mentioned?
Oh my God.
Can I buy Cleveland?
Let's see. Our house is I mean, I live in a 4,000 square foot home and it's nowhere even remotely close. Well, I mean, it's not $1 million home. So it's not even. So look, here's Kellen lives out in Calizuela too, and she says 1,200 square foot. That's crazy. That is crazy. Y'all need to move to Ohio.
So I bet for the 872 that Kellen's talking about and the $1.25 million that Charles is talking about, I could probably buy Cleveland. I'm not sure anybody wants to be in Cleveland, but I could probably buy the whole city. And then,
my wife's from Cleveland. Be careful. But
sorry.
No, I'm kidding. So I'm not kidding. We pick on Cleveland all the time. But here's the thing. And Ray Campbell's joining us from over on LinkedIn. Thanks, Ray. So look, here's the thing. For $1.25 million in Ohio, you are talking about an 8,000, probably 8,000, 7,000 to 8,000 square foot mansion, not house, mansion.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. I have a buddy that I think their house was 8 or 9,000. And Jill's right. Cleveland is there's a lot of affluent areas in Cleveland. And since we got rid of LeBron, it's even better. I'm kidding.
Thanks. You sent him out here.
Yeah, right. But the 1.25 million here would get you. I mean, I'm telling you, I have a friend that they had a maid quarters. And it was a $970,000 home and 2 doctors that lived in this house. And it was 9,000 square feet. It was massive mansion behind in a gated community.
So if you want to fall off your chair, we just had, I think last week or the week before, the highest priced home in Orange County sold. They marked it down. They took the listing price was 67 million, and it sold for 61 million.
Oh my God!
Right here in Newport Beach.
That's 61 million. Look, 8,000 square foot house in the town we live in, which is we're north of Columbus, pretty far north. 650.
Wow.
Yeah.
650.
Yeah, dude. It's way.
And I bet your taxes are less than ours.
Oh my
God. We're 13, I mean, we're at 13% is our top tax rate out here, and they want to increase it. And the state is bankrupt, right? The state is literally bankrupt. They don't want to tell anybody that. They're hiding it because I have some political people come on my radio show as well. Yeah. Literally, the state of Calizuela is bankrupt, but we want to still build that train out there that starts where nobody is and goes to where no one wants to go. But I think we're into it for about $60 billion so far.
So let me ask you this. I mean, we kind of went off your story a little bit, but let me ask you, I mean, you've ground it out. You've stayed, you actually made a brilliant move, which I would like to say I did as well. And that was, you started a radio show, and your radio show is very popular. You're on ESPN radio. I know you do a lot, and now you're doing it live on social media as well. What do you feel? And by the way, just so everybody knows, Ron's also a member of my academy, which I'm honored that you joined. But like, what do you feel like this? Because I preach this stuff. Like, if you start a show and it's a collaborative thing that starts happening. You start getting to collaborate with people that you normally wouldn't collaborate with.
Right.
And so what do you feel like it's done for you, your business, your just overall your life starting this thing?
It's been great for me, and I'll tell you why. When Craig first came to me and said about doing it and gave me the concept, he said, "Ron, you have to understand. Number one, I mean, you figure out 2009, 2010. You're not going to do much in the way of real estate. You're not going to do much in the way of mortgages because the industry was dead back then."
Right.
He said, "But here's the beauty: is as a mortgage guy, I mean, we're one step below used car salespeople, especially back then. Right? The industry was filled with less than reputable people, and many even thought crooks, right? So what it did for me was, because of that, I got to meet all kinds of really, really interesting people. I got to bring them on my radio program. It gave me the opportunity to help a lot of folks get educated and not get swindled. So, and I'm a big believer in what goes around comes around. So the karma that came from it, right? I got to meet people, and, I kid about it, but Dr. Bill and I have become real good friends. I know that he's part of your academy. Joe's been part of your academy. We're able to talk and do things that are completely out of the norm, right? So I can call you to come on my radio program. Well, you're not going to talk to anybody about mortgages or real estate in Calizuela. You're talking to them about how to make their life better. Right. So and when you asked me about coming on your show, it's awesome. I was so excited because, you've got this massive following. You've built up a huge amount of people in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And your focus. And here, I have people ask me, Ron, how do you decide who you're going to bring on your radio show? Because, like, in addition to the ESPN network, I was picked up about 4 months ago by ABC News and Talk as well. So we take the same program that runs in the morning, we put that on as a MP4 and MP3 on their station at 6 p.m. out here.
Wow.
And so people say, how do you decide who you're going to bring on the radio program? And I said, it's very, very simple. It's heart.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. If somebody's trying to sell something and they're just trying to get that next commission check or fee or retainer, they're not coming on my show.
Right.
But even with you, when you came on my show, you weren't pitching your academy. You were talking to people about how they can build a community, how they can help themselves, how they can help their family.
Yeah. Right.
And if we make some money, it's a byproduct. That's great. We have to feed our families.
Sure.
But there's more than enough out there. If I tell 1,000 people how to increase their credit score 50 points, I feel good. So I get a benefit.
Dude, and that's awesome. And I love the fact that you have the foresight to see that, because people don't, I have this little book that Ziglar's kids gave me when I was visiting their headquarters, and it's called The Little Book of Big Quotes by Ziglar, right? And you open this thing up, and the very first page, the first flap there says, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And that's his most famous quote. And that's the entire premise that you're talking about, man, is if you just have a helping heart. It sounds so cliche. It does, man. But if you just go, look, yes, I want to be rich. Yes, I want to make money. But I understand that if I just help enough other people get what they want in life, and that's attention to them, their business, their career, then it'll all unfold for me somehow. I don't know how.
No, we don't know how, because you don't know. I mean, if I help this young man who's, an immigrant here, barely spoke English, if I help him get a house, whether he uses me as a mortgage guy or not, I don't care, right? I want to make sure that he's happy, because even the people that can't buy properties, or that I have to put them on a game plan, right? It doesn't matter, because the bottom line is that I've helped somebody. And I get paid every time I help somebody. I get paid in a much greater currency than US dollars.
Yeah.
Right. It's just something that my wife and I are passionate about. And I'll tell you something. This is kind of a funny story, and I don't understand it. It was a challenge to me. So when I started my radio show, I said, something, I've got this big megaphone. My first radio program was on a 50,000 watt station. That's the largest allowable by law in the United States.
Wow.
And I used to leave the last 2 minutes of every program for nonprofits. I wanted to have nonprofits come on, and I used to broadcast right from the same studio where they broadcast Angel baseball. So it was right at Angel Stadium. I wanted people I left that 2 minutes. I said, if you have a nonprofit, let me know, and we'll talk about it, as long as it's legit. I didn't want to have, not like the Clinton Foundation or something like that, right? But if it was,
we just went there.
But like I've had Frank Shankwitz on my program several times. He's the founder of Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
Right. Great guy. So but something, Ken. It was the toughest 2 minutes to fill of the radio program, and I had to end up giving it up. I mean, now I have people come on the radio because I couldn't fill the segment. 2 minutes, and I couldn't fill the segment. I couldn't get, people would say, I'd call and I'd have this organization. What's your favorite charity? They'd tell me. I said, do you have somebody that wants to come on and talk about it? Well, let me find out. I'm sure we do. They're all excited. And then all of a sudden, nothing. I'm going, how can this possibly be? Right? That people don't want to come on and talk. So I gave it up. And now what I do is it's done just by happenstance, so to speak. So, I had the Boys and Girls Club of California. Somebody introduced me to their CEO for Orange County. So he came on the program and we talked about the Boys and Girls Club. What are they doing? Cops for Kids. They'll come on and they'll talk about their program. But it was just taking so much time trying to find somebody to give them the opportunity to talk to thousands of people at 1 minute, at one time. It would just became, I don't know whether they were scared or what it was. You're doing this all the time, so you understand it. When I did my first radio broadcast, I'm sitting there, this studio cost $1 million to build. It's I think it's the second floor of Angel Stadium in the back offices. I walked in there, I had a stack of papers for a 1-hour program. The stack of notes I had was about 6 inches thick worth of paper. And I couldn't use any of it because my hands were shaking so much. I was so nervous.
Right. Yeah.
So I understand when people, I just had someone on my program Wednesday, and he and I are sitting there chatting just like two old friends. And as soon as the red light goes on, all of a sudden he's nervous as heck.
Yep.
Right. I had another lady that came on the program. She sells multi-million-dollar houses in Newport Beach. Every time I would ask her something, she would start coughing.
Wow.
So for 1 hour, I could not get her to say anything because she had this nervous tick of coughing the entire time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the nonprofits had a problem with it, because I do about as much preparation work as you do.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just have a conversation. I want my audience experience is two friends having coffee at Starbucks the way it was in 2019, not 2020.
Yep. Right.
Just chat.
Just chat. That's it. Like I think. And what I love about what you're doing too is you just said it about the preparation stuff. I think, and I've talked about this a lot in the last few days, actually, like stop waiting on the stars to be perfect and aligned and to take action on like just go, man. Like you're going to screw up. You're going to have a booger hanging out of your nose while you're alive. Things are going to happen, man. Yeah. I've been meaning to point that out to you the whole show. I'm kidding. But like, you have to have fun. And again, you have to have a heart that really wants to help people too. So, tell me this, like you've been very successful in your careers. But you've what do you think, in your opinion, and we're over an hour now, but hey, it's my show and it's the internet. So hold on. I'd like to break for a moment for a word from our sponsor at the Clinton Foundation that just canceled with us. I'm kidding. But like, what do you think, in your opinion, holds people back from success in life?
Fear.
That's what everybody.
Fear of failure. No, it is. It really is. It's fear of failure because people are so afraid. I mean, I just had this conversation with some folks. I was out in the desert talking to an investor yesterday, and we got in this conversation about mistakes. And I said, there's a lot of people that really worry about mistakes, and I don't care about mistakes. And I learned this early on because I did so much work with Walmart, and they would call me, and I think I told you earlier in the program that they called me one day and they said they're going to open up 79 new stores. The next day or a week later, they called and said, no, we changed it to 69 new stores. And then a week later, they said 85 stores. Well, what I learned from that is, just do it. And I don't like Nike because I don't like what they stand for, but the real thing is just go out and do it. I do my radio program. If it sounds great, it's great. If it doesn't sound great, it doesn't. But I go out there and do it and try to correct, and right. I'm not thin-skinned. So if you call me and say, hey, Ron, I was listening to your program and you really sounded like garbage, but I think right. You need to do this, this, and this. And my comment to these folks when we had lunch out in the desert on, I don't even know, Wednesday, was that I might not take every piece of advice somebody gives me, but if somebody is trying to give me advice with a good heart, I'm going to absolutely listen. And if it, because I don't know everything.
Right.
So I look at people and they say, well, I can't go and do go on StreamYard and do a program because I don't have the right mic and I don't have the right computer and I don't have the right lighting and I don't have the right background. And I said, you know what you don't have is you don't have any guts. That's what you don't have.
Yeah.
Right? Go turn on your computer. There's probably a camera there and start.
Yep.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be perfect.
It's true.
My bet is that the program that you're doing today is radically different than the program you did 5 or 7 or 10 years ago.
Yep.
Because, you've had some great guests that give you great guidance or counsel with the right heart.
Yeah.
Why do you think that after 10 years of doing this, I said, something, I got to get into Ken's Academy because I don't know what's there. I've learned so much stuff on my own.
Yeah.
But, this guy's got 100 hours or whatever it is worth of content that if I can go there and I don't know, I've only gone through some of it, right? I'm transparent.
Right.
But if I can go there and I can pick up 1 or 2 or 3 nuggets, it can take me to another level.
Completely.
Right? Or I can deliver something better to somebody else. I don't need to make a home run out of everything. And I mean, your program it doesn't cost anything in the scheme of the world.
Right.
Because what is it? I think right now at Chapman University, a 1 unit is about $500 for a unit of coursework. Right? What does it cost? What does it cost? What do errors cost?
Right.
Are you ready for this one? In the mortgage world, we have all kinds of underwriting. If we make an error on a loan and Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac won't buy it from us, we have to sell it in the secondary market, and we have to take generally a 10 to 15% haircut. So Orange County, Calizuela, our median home price is $808,000. So just say we do a $600,000 loan on that. If I make a mistake, it's $90,000.
Wow.
Right? That's the cost of us to cure that. So why wouldn't I spend, $1,000 on a program? Because my bet is, and you and I haven't talked about this, but I bet you've made a lot of mistakes.
Oh
and
God. Nope, I'm perfect.
And you're sharing them. Yeah, and I'm sure that you share them in that content.
I do.
Right. So
I do.
So I'm an idiot if I don't take advantage of somebody else's mistakes.
I think that, people don't realize the value of just being authentic. Like if I listen to your radio station or your radio program and you're on a hot mic and you don't realize it and I hear you belch, like I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I'm never listening." Like that's, dude, we all belch. We all go through, you know what I mean? Like, right. So I just think that it's a matter of being authentic, and you're doing it, man. You're doing it. So look, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom today, dude. You're incredible. And I am so grateful that you've had me on your show, on the radio show once, and then in your realtor group once. And I can't wait to meet you in person. Hopefully when you move out of the Soviet Republic of Calizuela. I'm kidding. I've been to LA one time and I was good. I was like, okay, I'm good. But yeah, but San Diego's nice. San Diego was nice.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. But I've never been in the area that you guys are in. So I can't wait to come out there. So
you'll love this. Especially being from Ohio. So I used to have an office in Des Plaines, Illinois, and one in New York. So I understand what the seasons are like.
Yeah.
I I know that you can go to Chicago and enjoy spring one day.
Yeah.
But in San Diego, I mean, you guys probably, if you put on the evening news, do they do a weather segment?
I haven't watched the news in a while, but yeah, normally they do.
So San Diego, Calizuela, they only do the weather if it's not going to be 74 and clear, right? Same temperature every day.
Really?
74 and clear. Oh, beautiful sky. I mean, look at if you go online and look at what the weather swings are for San Diego. I mean, maybe 72 to 76 is about it. Great area.
Yeah, it's gorgeous there, man. It's beautiful.
So in
So
January, you
Ron,
can think about Calizuela.
let me ask you one last question for
Sure.
anyone watching right now. That, you know, I mean, whether we think this pandemic is real or not, the fact is a lot of people have been locked down. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are struggling like crazy right now. They don't know which way to turn. And I've been there, man. I've been there. I had a car repossessed in front of a bunch of employees once. That was an awesome day. But like I've been there. I've been through all this stuff. What would you say to somebody that's barely hanging on? The suicide rates are through the roof right now. Like, what do you say to somebody that's barely hanging on? How do you help them if they called you and said, "Man, I don't know what to do"? What do you say?
Wow, that's a toughie. And you're right. Suicide. I've talked about this on my radio program. Suicide rates, actually, the statistic is they go up 10,000 suicides additional to what we already normally have. For every 1% increase in unemployment, there's 10,000 more suicides in our country.
Oh my God.
10,000. So
Wow.
yeah, to answer your question, here's the thing. Find what you're passionate about. And, I tell this to my sons is if you find your passion, the money will follow and you'll make your family happier. I mean, I've got one son that got married last year. He's going to have a baby next year. My older son is getting married next year. And find your passion. Find something that you like to do. And I don't care whether it's being a trash truck driver, not to put them down, or if it's to be an attorney or a realtor or an accountant. Be the best, right? And if you go out there and you just focus on being the best, go out there and you're going to a lot of, especially with this pandemic. I heard Mark Cuban say this on a program probably 2 or 3 months ago. He said one of the newest questions that's going to come out of the pandemic when you go to interview is, what did you do during the pandemic to better yourself?
Right.
So in our country right now, there are a million ways, maybe more, to make money.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, you look at what's happened on Etsy, right? You look at what's happened on Pinterest. What I would say is real simple. And I'm not trying to be a honk here in any way or to be promotive or anything like that. Find something you're passionate about. If you like drawing, if you like creating, you like building. I have a neighbor that just started making cornhole games in his garage, right? You've got a great platform right now with the social media channels. I mean, I got on Parler about a month or two ago because I didn't like the censoring of Facebook. But you've got Facebook, you've got LinkedIn. But hey, think about this one. If he makes these cornhole games in his garage, and I'm not to try and sell anything. I'm not looking to sell anything. I don't get paid to say what I'm going to say. Go onto that academy and learn how to share the information on a platform like StreamYard, where you can show it to thousands of people and don't give up, right? Because I guarantee you didn't have anybody watching your show when you first started it, right?
Maybe
very Jill.
Few. Very few.
Right? I mean, I see that you said that your wife's on here now. My wife even tunes me out now on the radio program too, right?
My wife's making comments, man. She's loving your message.
right? But if you go and you buy that and you start sharing and you start building a community, because I have a brother-in-law that's made boatloads of money in financial services, and his clients all fish and they all ski
Yeah.
because he likes to fish and ski. So he can make a tremendous living for his family by fishing and skiing.
Yep.
Right? If you're handy, start doing videos about it, start sharing it, because it, you know, I don't know. I think I started using StreamYard I don't know, 6 months ago or something. What's it cost me? $50 a month or something.
Yeah. And they have a cheaper one they have one that's free actually. So yeah.
Okay, so you can get out there and get it for nothing.
Yeah.
And so I sell one cornhole game, and I don't even know how to use a screwdriver, so I'm not going to even say anything about it. But you sell a cornhole game, and then you have 10 people call you and say, "I want more cornhole games." You have 100 people call you and say, "I want cornhole games."
Yep.
Right? And you can build a massive business. And so think about this: if you make 10 cornhole games and you make $20 per game, you've just added $200 to your income.
Yeah.
And if you make those on the weekend, and you can do do that 10 times, if you do that every week.
Yeah.
Right. In many parts of the country, you've just added $1,000 to your income, to whatever you're doing already. Is that going to buy you a nicer car? Is that going to buy you a nicer house? Is that going to buy you a vacation? Maybe it's going to help your retirement fund. Maybe it's going to help your kids in college.
Pay the electric, pay your cell phone bill, all of that.
Right. And you may end up finding that if by doing that and just starting, that you can get away from that job that you hate, that employer that you hate, or get off unemployment. Right. I mean, this is still an entrepreneurial country. There's still opportunity.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere, man. I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah, it's only limited by our imagination.
Right. You're right. You're right. Ron Siegel, thank you, dude. You're awesome, man. Thank you.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
You got people fired up on here.
Good. Yeah, I see Roxy said MeWe. I just went on to that one. I just went on that one also.
I'm on Parler and MeWe as well. We need to connect, dude. So that's awesome, man. Listen, I appreciate you. Don't hang up on me yet. I'm gonna end the live stream, but Ron, make sure everybody on here, you go follow Ron. Where's the best place to follow you, by the way? What's wrong with me? Why didn't I? Is it RonSiegelRadio.com?
RonSiegelRadio.com is our website. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. At Ron Siegel on Twitter, although I'm not there as much. Ron Siegel on Parler. I think it's Ron Siegel on MeWe.
Yeah.
I have a short memory, so I can almost remember my name, so I kind of used it everywhere.
Yeah. There you go. Well, start at RonSiegelRadio.com. Everybody go follow Ron. I'm sure your social media links are on there. So everybody make sure you go follow Ron. Ron, thank you so much. And there's been some rock stars on here today and other people that'll watch this. So are you looking for new guests on the radio show?
I am. One of the difficult things I have is finding great content. So if there's people here that have the right heart, I'm always looking.
That's awesome, dude. Everybody make sure you go follow Ron. Ron, don't hang up on me. I'm ending this now. You guys have an awesome weekend and go live the American dream like Ron was just talking about. Go make it happen. Thanks, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.